I pulled into my driveway, dust still coating my boots from the livestock show, a blue ribbon pinned proudly to my shirt. But the sight before me stopped me cold. A backhoe tore through my backyard, and a woman lounged in a flamingo float, sipping lemonade like she owned my ranch. My red barn stood defiant. My windmill creaked in the breeze. But where my cow pasture once stretched, a half-dug swimming pool gaped like a wound, framed by a gaudy cabana draped with HOA flags and citronella candles. I sat in my truck, stunned, wondering if I'd driven into some bizarre resort. Then she turned, sun hat tilting, and called out with infuriating cheer, "Oh, you're back. I hoped you'd make it before the concrete pour." My jaw tightened. Concrete pour. She waved at a crew of hard-hatted workers ripping into my soil. "You can thank me later," she chirped. The HOA voted last week for a community pool, and this spot was perfect. Nobody was using it. My brain stalled not from confusion, but from the sheer audacity. I stepped out, boots crunching gravel, rage simmering. Her name was Loretta Hawkins, the HOA president from the new Willow Ridge development down the hill, a woman who'd been swallowing neighboring plots like a land-hungry queen. She'd already planted "Welcome to Willow Ridge" community signs on my ranch road, despite the lake being my stock tank and the view my grazing cattle. I'd told her this was private land. She'd called the boundaries negotiable. I strode past the workers, ignoring their thumbs up, and headed to my barn, where the world still made sense. On a shelf, behind an old saddle, I found a dusty metal placard, County Drainage Commissioner. For 27 years, I'd mapped water flow, issued flood permits, and kept Willow County dry, elected and re-elected because no one else wanted the job. I knew every runoff channel, including the one Loretta was digging her pool into, without permits, without consent, without a clue. The roar of a concrete mixer shook the barn. I slipped the placard into my pocket and stepped back into the chaos. Loretta lounged under a beach umbrella, barking orders like a film director. "Excuse me," I said, voice low. She glanced up, annoyed. "Yes," I pointed. "This is my land. You're building on my land." Her eyes rolled. "Oh, please. It's not like you're using it. The HOA needs recreation space. It'll boost property values." I stepped closer. "Did you file a drainage permit?" A flicker of unease crossed her face. "What permit?" I smiled, handing her a folded property survey showing her pool dead center on my ranch. "You're in a flood corridor. Diverting water here violates federal law." Her mouth opened, no words. "Discuss it with your board," I said, tipping my hat. "And check what happens when the drainage commissioner gets involved." I walked away, storm brewing in my chest. Inside, I poured coffee and watched the madness from my window. It was almost tragic, their delusion of grandeur. I grabbed my county code binder, untouched for months, and began highlighting violations. Tomorrow, I'd document. Next week, Loretta would learn pools don't float on stolen land. By morning, the scene had escalated. Inflatable palm trees bobbed around the pool, artificial turf rolled out, fairy lights dangled from my fence. Loretta, in a neon whistle, shouted orders like a camp counselor. Spotting me, she waved. "We're hosting an HOA kids pool party today. Hope you don't mind some music." Before I could respond, massive speakers blared beach tunes, rattling Willow Valley. A kid tossed a beach ball into my alfalfa. Another dragged a plastic dolphin past my gate. A snack table sprouted with a donation box and a sign nailed to my fence. Willow Ridge Community Pool. My blood boiled. I stormed inside, yanked open my file cabinet, and listed violations. Unauthorized construction, unpermitted trenching, noise violations, illegal signage, public use of private land. This wasn't a party. It was a siege. By afternoon, families swarmed my pasture like a public park. A grill smoked, kids fed my goats junk food, and a teenager draped a towel over my tractor. I cleared my throat. He bolted. Loretta strutted over, clipboard in hand, grinning. "Great turnout. The neighborhood needed this." I gripped the fence. "You're trespassing. This is my ranch, not your playground." She waved dismissively. It's shared space now. The HOA voted for what's best. I leaned in. Your vote means nothing here. You're begging for a lawsuit. Her smile faltered, but she laughed. Kids are having fun. Really? I turned away as the music roared louder. By evening, trucks lined my road, parked in ditches. Kids climbed my fences. Trash littered my field. Loretta was weaponizing chaos, betting public use would legitimize her theft. I printed flood maps showing her pool blocking a critical runoff channel. Spring rains would turn her oasis into a disaster, flooding Willow Ridge yards, hers first. I mailed the maps to the HOA, certified, with a note: temporary obstruction of water flow, violation of floodway laws. This pool is a hazard. I installed trail cameras capturing every party, sign, trespasser. When Loretta zip-tied a pool access, residents only sign to my fence, I ripped it down, hands shaking. Her next move was a glossy flyer in my mailbox, inviting me to a Splash Bash Sunday with karaoke and drinks, signed HOA President Loretta Hawkins, listing my ranch. I added it to my evidence binder, ready for court. At the Willow County office, I pored over flood archives, legal maps confirming Loretta's pool sat in a protected waterway. As drainage commissioner, I had authority. I scanned my land's topography, proving water from Willow Ridge's pool would flood downstream. I mailed evidence to code enforcement and environmental compliance, letting the system sharpen its teeth. Days later, I spotted Loretta with a slick lawyer type, gesturing at her pool. She glanced my way, confidence a thin mask. That night, a letter from Hawkins' legal advisors arrived, threatening me for interfering with HOA improvements. I mailed back an annotated rebuttal, citing every violated code, adding, research unauthorized development on protected watershed. The pool parties continued, but Loretta's swagger faded. She paced, snapped at workers, dialed her phone frantically. Then Willow County inspectors arrived in white SUVs, clipboards in hand. Loretta rushed out, disheveled, arguing as they measured and sampled water. An orange cease and desist notice appeared on the pool gate. That evening, she stormed my driveway livid. You reported us. You're ruining our community. I stood firm. I did my duty. Your pool blocks a flood channel. You built this mess. She clenched her fists. This is harassment. No, I said. Fight the county, not me. She stormed off, defiance crumbling. Loretta retaliated with flyers accusing me of corruption and sabotage, including a photoshopped image of me as a devil. I laughed, but her next move was bolder. An emergency HOA meeting in the cul-de-sac, ranting about county overreach and my grudge. Neighbors listened, but few clapped. Her spell was breaking. Her lawyer cousin offered to buy part of my ranch for $1 to legalize the pool. I pointed to his truck. Leave. Then came petty citations. Dusty livestock smells, unapproved barn paint. Laughable, as my ranch wasn't under HOA rule. When her crew planted hedges on my land, I showed them my deed. They fled, apologizing. The final insult was a sign bolted into my road. Willow Ridge Recreation Entrance. I photographed it, filed a county complaint, and waited. Loretta's newspaper interview painted her as a victim of a spiteful rancher. But facts were my weapon. A storm loomed, forecast to dump heavy rain. Her pool, a dam in a flood path, was doomed. As clouds gathered, I checked my drainage ditches, clear, ready. Loretta's lights glowed, her party defiant. Then the sky broke. Rain fell like vengeance, turning roads to rivers. Water pooled at Willow Ridge's top, blocked by Loretta's pool, spilling into yards and basements. Playground swings floated. Mulch washed away. Sirens wailed as county trucks arrived. Loretta flailed, screaming at officials documenting the chaos. My ditches held. Her world drowned. A county enforcer visited, reviewing my maps and photos. This will be straightforward, he said. Post-storm, Loretta's pool was a muddy ruin. Cracked deck, filled with debris. The HOA faced fines. Loretta was cited for obstruction, unpermitted changes, negligence. At the hearing, I presented binders, maps, photos, codes. Loretta's cousin babbled about community vision. She blamed others. My no trespassing signs silenced her excuses. The board ordered the pool dismantled at her expense, fined the HOA, and billed Loretta for damages. She sat, jaw tight, as her empire collapsed. The pool was torn down, leaving raw earth. Loretta vanished behind closed blinds. The HOA's apology was weak, but change was in the quiet. I built a small, permitted pond, fenced with a private use only sign. Neighbors brought gifts, one thanking me for protecting what was right. At a town meeting, I explained drainage, earning honest applause. Loretta resigned. Her cousin faded. A note in my fence, likely hers, read, "You were right. Spring brought green grass, grazing cattle, peace." Loretta's pool was a lesson. Land doesn't bend to arrogance. It fights back, and so do I. My ranch stood, my barn red, my legacy intact. They came for my land, but I buried their plans in the mud.